Hi guys, today I'm going to show you how to stitch my beginner pattern, Practice Petals. You're going to start the pattern by taking 3 strands of the shade 3013 and using it to do a back stitch up the stem of the very far left flower. I've done this by stitching 2 running stitches up the stem of the flower and then looping back to finish off the back stitch. I find this is helpful in gauging the length of your stitches and also creates a faster back stitch. Next, we're going to finish off the stem of the far left flower by using a loop back stitch. You can do this by bringing your needle up at the base of the stem and then tucking your needle underneath each back stitch and pulling it through. As you work your way up, make sure that you're pulling through your needle from the same direction so you have a continuous twist. Once you've continued your whip back stitch all the way to the top of the flower, you can then pull your needle through at the top of the flower and then secure it with a knot at the back. In order to stitch a knot at the back, run your needle under one of the back stitches and pull through to create a loop. Then run your needle through that loop and pull tight to create a knot. From here, you can use a color guide to locate the other stems that share the same color floss. By using the same method with the same 3 strands of floss, you can go ahead and finish off the rest of the stems. Now that you've stitched the stems, we're going to go ahead and stitch the leaves. You can do this by pulling your needle out the top of the point of the leaf and then pulling it down against the very bottom of the leaf. You're then going to want to bring your needle out of the top to the right of the initial stitch. You're then going to want to pull it back down towards the bottom right of the stitch. Continue by alternating bringing your needle up to the top and bottom of each stitch on both left and right to fill in the middle of the leaf. Once you get to the outside edges of your leaf, you're going to want to start curving your needle down towards the middle of the bottom of the leaf in order to give your leaf a tighter look and a smoother finish. Using the same method, finish stitching off the rest of the leaves. Once you've finished off those stems and leaves with that color, you can then use the color 10 to do the same thing with the rest of the stems and leaves. You're then going to want to use the peachy shade 3770 to start off the flowers. Use the color guide to figure out each flower you need to stitch, or I've also pointed it out here. You're going to want to start stitching the petals by bringing your leaf up at the very tip of each petal and bring it back down towards the center. Be careful to leave that center open so that we can stitch in later with the finishing color. Continue by bringing your needle up to the left of the base of the flower and then bring it back up to the top of the flower. Next, bring your needle up to the right top of the flower and then back down towards the right bottom of the flower. You're going to want to finish your petals by alternating bringing your needle up at the top and back down towards the base. Continue using that same stitching method to finish off stitching the rest of your petals. Now I'm going to finish off the center of each flower with the darker peachy shade 754. You're going to do this with a simple cross stitch knot. Do this by bringing your needle up through the back and pushing it down the center to create a simple first knot. Next, bring your needle up to the middle of that same knot and cross over it. By doing this, you'll create a perfect cross stitch knot that will serve as the perfect center for your tiny flower. Use the same cross stitch method in order to fill in the rest of the centers of each of the tiny peach flowers. We're now going to use last shades 3865 and 437 to fill in the remaining flowers. You're going to want to stitch the white flowers the same way that you stitch the peach flowers. You can do this by filling each of the white petals first and then using that remaining gold color to fill in the centers of each flower. Use the included instructions for how to back your hoop, and that's it. You finished stitching Practice Petals. Check out my shop for more beginner patterns.